We got another one here, and this one is it's pertaining to the metaverse.
Welcome to the Metaverse.
Good old Marky Z.
Who should we tickle next?
I am not a lizard.
Not a lizard, Mark Zuckerberg.
Not a lizard. You heard it from his own lizard mouth.
The headline here from PCGamer.com is Mark Zuckerberg spent $10 billion on the metaverse, and all we got was this silly selfie. And Basil, go ahead and describe the selfie from the metaverse that Zuckerberg shared here, because I think you would do a better job explaining.
Yeah, if there's a picture, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, this picture is worth $10 billion. It is. I can only describe it as like a high school, graphic arts project. You've got the digital avatar of Mark Zuckerberg, which I don't know how to say this. Looks like it would star in like an R.L. Stine Goosebumps movie remake by Disney. Sort of this mannequin looking, wide, dead-eyed avatar of Mark Zuckerberg, who is sort of poised in a way to give you the impression that he's taking a selfie. And in the background is, look, you have children, Gons. You've watched some of these kids shows on Netflix.
Yes.
And the streaming shows, and they have markedly declined in sort of quality, in design quality. You've got Mark Zuckerberg taking a selfie as some sort of dead-eyed mannequin or harlequin dummy of some kind. And it's hard to describe. It is hard to describe. In the background, there is sort of like a weird version of the Eiffel Tower, which is placed right next to a really weird version of some kind of cathedral. And it's got to be some landmark of some kind. I don't know what it is. It almost looks like a Russian Orthodox.
Russian, yeah. One of those Russian, I forget what they're called. Yeah.
And the most off-putting thing about this is that they are sort of placed on a blank green plane with giant poofy green, I guess they're supposed to be hills in the background, and a couple of trees kind of sparsely placed, literally 2 trees that look like they were painted by a child on Microsoft Paint. I don't know. It is the most bizarre display of $10 billion I have ever seen.
Yeah, if you're an investor, if you gave Mark money for this thing,
and this is what he's saying at the next board meeting.
Let's say you gave him $1 billion. You're like, yeah, make it happen, Mark.
Yeah.
And then he sends back, hey, check it out. Check out my selfie in the metaverse.
I
would fire him.
Look, I am not a sort of like CGI 3D designer person, but I do know some people who are like that. And this would probably take someone about 10 minutes to put together. It is really bizarre.
Yeah. Well, along those lines, there's a bunch of Zuckerberg news that popped out.
Hold on. I do love how this starts out. We don't need to read the whole thing if we don't want to, but it starts out and says, this is how the article reads.
Yeah.
I don't want to start this post by personally attacking Mark Zuckerberg's eyes, which have, in years past, been described as, quote, 2 weird little black marbles and, quote, vacant black shark eyes, who wouldn't look utterly bereft of a soul after trying to explain the internet to the United States Senate. I also don't need to suggest Mark Zuckerberg may in fact be a robot, since there's an entire meme community devoted to that joke. I am avoiding these easy, obvious dunks on old Zuck because his latest Metaverse selfie looks so bad. He's already owned himself harder than I possibly could. And that's pretty much it. The whole article just kind of keeps going on like that. Just a big old dunk on old Zucky there. It's pretty funny.
Do you think they're going to actually have market share when this thing really starts taking off and everybody's, kind of moving into the metaverse in one form or another? Because it's not one thing. It's a bunch of people who have their own projects, who have their own infrastructure for a metaverse, whatever it may look like.
Too many people have their hands on the ball over there at Facebook.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. Sad to say, but there will be plenty of people in the Facebook, addiction.
And the beautiful thing, sure. Yeah, they'll have something, but it by far won't be the best thing. But there is one thing I love about the internet is that people really appreciate good things when they're good. And they ditch bad things when they're bad. And so I think there will be a certain group of people who will go into, much like how some people in the world think that Facebook is the internet. Like you'd say like, oh, just look on the internet, and they open up the Facebook app. There's, it's generally sort of either elderly people or there's some, people from other countries who haven't really been told the truth about the internet. And that's kind of how they think of it. I think a lot of people will have that experience with the metaverse. And I think that's kind of the whole plan. I think that's the one thing that Mark has on other more, smaller metaverse projects or indie companies or whatever, is that people just don't know any better to not use his bad product.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how people just walk right into the metaverse using the giving all their data to Zuck. Yeah. A couple other Zuckerberg things real quickly here. Vice, once again, Vice, our favorite Intel op, had this. This is the kind of stuff they want us to talk about, I guess. Vice headline here: do we all see baby Mark Zuckerberg as Jesus in this 18th century sculpture? And the story is literally of someone who tweeted out, who went to some museum or something, saw a little statue of Mary and Jesus, and they tweeted out, "Oh, the baby looks like Mark Zuckerberg."
Tweets are news, man. I don't know if you caught this or not.
I know, but to have a whole article written about it.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole industry now, as with so much of our career. There's a whole industry now based on making fun of Mark Zuckerberg. And Vice is partaking in that industry. You do have to say, you got to admit,
it does look a little.
It looks exactly really like Mark Zuckerberg. This little picture, it's like a wooden carving of Jesus sitting in Mary's lap.
Yeah.
And it just looks like exactly like Mark Zuckerberg. The tiny eyeballs, the weird haircut, the gigantic forehead. Yeah, the head shape. Even the ears are like Mark Zuckerberg's ears. And the fact that it's attached to a tiny naked baby body, which is sort of a spiritual representation of Mark Zuckerberg as some sort of robot baby,
right?
Who somehow continues to bumble through the world.
Robot baby who's chosen, who is a Jesus, a technocracy Jesus, maybe.
Right? Yeah.
He's hated by everybody.
There it is.
And more reasons to bash on Zuckerberg. Finance.yahoo.com. Family sues Mark Zuckerberg after he offered $7,500 in death of security guard at Hawaii compound. And we won't get into the details, but a lawsuit claims.
I think some of the details are important.
Okay, all right, we can get through. The family of a security guard who died at Mark Zuckerberg's sprawling Hawaiian property in 2019 are suing the tech billionaire, alleging negligence and wrongful death. Hawaiian News Now reported. Rodney Medeiros, 70, suffered a heart attack while working as a part-time seasonal security guard at the Meta CEO's resort known as Kulau Ranch in Kauai in August 2019. The lawsuit brought against Zuckerberg's company, Palia Land LLC, says the 70-year-old,
Yeah. So this struck me because I don't know if you remember this, Gon. So this Rodney Medeiros guy, he's 70 years old. He had a heart attack
2 years ago or 3 years ago, 2019.
Quite a long time ago. Yeah. Zuckerberg gave them a check for $7,500, which, come on, Zucky, you're already like purchasing the entire island and people hate you for so many reasons. You have more money than anybody could even imagine spending in 100 lifetimes. And he gives him $7,500. Now, I don't know what his actual legal liability was there. However, you know, these families seems to think that he had some sort of legal liability.
Yeah.
But do you remember back when it came to all of our attention that Mark Zuckerberg kills his own goats to eat them?
I have this BBC article here from January 2019. When was the death? August 2019?
This would have been, this would have been, just a few months before.
The same year, but just, maybe 6 or 7 months before. Interesting. Okay, the headline from BBC here is What Zuckerberg's Goat Tells Us About Tech Billionaires. From slaughtering goats to prepping for the apocalypse, their habits aren't exactly normal. Again, from
this
2019.
We covered this at the time, but it was a whole thing. I mean, let me read you this first paragraph. That one of the world's richest men had taken to slaughtering his own goats with what was described as a laser gun is just the sort of eccentricity we demand from our billionaires. The fact that after having performed this feat, he then apparently failed to properly cook the aforementioned goat was just icing on the cake. So this is when... this is when we all found out that Mark Zuckerberg likes to tase goats to kill them and then cook them as some sort of like, I don't know, manly thing to do. He thought he was doing a great job of, you know, cooking his own meats and killing his own animals. But he would just tase them with like a cattle prod and the animals would have a heart attack. And then he would fail to cook them properly. I don't know, man. I'm not making any suggestions for the lawyers out there. I'm not making any libelous claims.
I think maybe the Medeiros family here has a point. Maybe his name got mixed in with the goats. And he thought, $7,500 for each goat.
You know, he's what is the price of a goat? Yeah. What is the price of a goat? Maybe he just thought it was a goat that he had zapped and given a heart attack.
Oh, yeah, Rodney, the goat.
This was back in 2019. It was before he had learned the difference. You know, he's just getting used to his human skin suit. And
goats apparently aren't very expensive.
Learn the difference between goats and humans. Well,
200 to 500. I'm seeing 800. Yeah, so
for goats. What are you searching? Goats?
Yeah, goat mart.
Goat prices. Yeah, but if you're selling a goat to Mark Zuckerberg, you're gonna give him the billionaire price is what you're gonna do.
The unblemished goat for you, Mark.
Yeah, $7,500 for this goat. Good price for you, almost free.
Yeah. So just we're not accusing anybody of anything here. We're just
or are we? Okay. No, we're not. It's just weird. I hope the family makes out like bandits.
Yeah, they should.